Who were the best and worst Pro Football Focus graded players from the Bucs 23-3 win versus the New Orleans Saints? Let's talk about it. Shout out to Sleeper, by the way. More on them a little bit later on in this video. Let's go ahead and start off with the offensive side of things. Now, of course, here you have a few different names kind of popping up here in regards to guys being in the top five offensively. The offense was a little bit lacking in this matchup, but checking in at number one is Tez Johnson with a 65.2 offensive grade. This is the third time Tez has been in the top five of PFF grades on offense this season. Baker Mayfield checks in at number two with a 63.5 offensive grade. This is the sixth time in 8 games that Baker has been in the top five as well. Congratulations to him on that. Charlie Heck actually checks in at number three with a 62.6 offensive grade. Now, Charlie Heck, this is actually the second time he has been in the top five this year. So shout out to Charlie Heck. Past couple of games, it seems like he's playing a little bit better overall at the right tackle position after a pretty rough start to the year. Seems like he is playing better throughout these past 3 games against San Francisco, Detroit, and now New Orleans. So shout out to Charlie Heck. Dan Feeney makes his debut in the top 5 offensively, pretty much his top debut period for Pro Football Focus grades here with the Bucs at a 60.3 offensive grade, and then Devin Culp rounded out with a 60.0. Yes, Teddy Bridgewater is in there as well. I guess you could technically throw Rachaad White in there, considering Culp and Teddy only played 2 snaps each, but it is what it is. Culp is the also making his debut in the top 5 offensively. Teddy would have as well. If we would have went with Rachaad White, it would have been his 4th time in the top 5 offensively for PFF grades. Now for the bottom 5, checking in here at the worst graded offensive player, it is Josh Williams making his debut in the bottom 5 with a 49.8 overall offensive grade. Next is Ben Bredeson, who checks in here at number 2 with a 51.9 overall offensive grade. He's actually tied for the top place in terms of most times in the bottom 5. This is Ben Bredeson's 5th time in 8 games in the bottom 5 of PFF offensive grades. We'll get to the other 2 guys here in a little bit. Payne Durham is in there at number 3 at a 52.8 overall offensive grade, his 2nd time in the bottom 5. Emeka Egbuka makes his debut in the bottom 5 with a 53.2 offensive grade. He's been struggling the past couple of games. Hopefully he can feel better after the bye week, I should say. Graham Barton rounds out our bottom 5 at a 54.7 offensive grade. He is tied with Ben Bredeson and Cade Otton for most appearances in the bottom 5 so far this year with 5. Cade Otton has had 5 appearances in the bottom 5, Bredeson has had 5, and Graham Barton has had 5 as well. Bredeson and Barton struggling this year so far, and I get it. They've moved around to a lot of different positions. Bredeson played center this year. Barton played left tackle. I think he played right tackle at some point too. It's been a lot for both of these guys in terms of offensive line shifting and whatnot, so it is what it is, but both guys have been struggling this year. Now we can move on to the defensive side of the ball, everybody. Let's go ahead and dive into it. No surprises as to who checks in here at the top spot. It is Anthony Nelson, who is making his 2nd appearance in the top 5 defensively for the Bucs. Did absolutely everything that you want to see a star defender do, and considering Anthony Nelson, has been mid throughout his career, kudos and props to him for having the best game of his career, in my opinion, against the Saints. Jamel Dean checks in at number 2. This is actually the 3rd appearance Dean has made in the top 5. I don't know, man. It is unfortunate that Dean literally, took this massive pay cut. He's going to be a free agent this upcoming year, and now he decides to play lights out. It is what it is, right? The mystery of the NFL, right? Zion McCollum checks in at number 3 with an 82.6 overall grade. This is McCollum's 4th time in the top 5 defensively this year. So he's having himself a pretty good season. Jacob Parrish pops in here with a 76.1 defensive grade. The 5th time Parrish has popped in here in the top 5. He's having a fantastic rookie season. And then Marquise Watts makes his debut in the top 5 here with a 73.4 defensive grade overall. Shout out to Marquise Watts for that. I do want to mention this, by the way. Honorable mention to Tyke Smith, okay? Because Tyke Smith, if he would have edged out Marquise Watts for a top 5 spot, it would have been his 7th appearance in the top 5 in 8 weeks. Tyke Smith is playing lights out this year, dude. He really is. He's probably the most unsung player on this Buccaneers defense so far this year. He really has been solid so far this year. So shout out to Tyke Smith. Now for the bottom 5, Elijah Roberts checks in as the lowest graded defender with a 50.5 defensive grade. This is Elijah's 2nd appearance here in the bottom 5. Greg Gaines with a 52.8 overall grade. He leads the way for most appearances in the bottom 5 defensively with 6 total appearances in the bottom 5. Very unfortunate there. Servassier Dennis finds his way back into the bottom 5. He is a 54.9 overall defensive grade. His 4th appearance in the bottom 5 here. Braswell checks in at number 4 with a 55.2. This is his 3rd appearance in the bottom 5. And then Levante David squeaks in at a 56.9 defensive grade, making it his, let's see if I can find it. I think it's his 3rd appearance in the bottom 5. Yes, it's his 3rd appearance in the bottom 5. So been a bit of a rough year for inside linebacker. We'll probably make a separate video talking about what the Buccaneers could possibly do to improve on inside linebacker, so stay tuned for that as well. Finally, we are going to move on to the special teams. And folks, surprise of the series so far that we have done this, Ryan Miller and Kayvon Merriweather make their way into the top 5, being 1 and 2 on special teams. That is awesome for them. Kayvon Merriweather makes his debut in the top 5, as does Ryan Miller. And look, these are 2 guys, if you've been following this series and paying attention, Ryan Miller's been in the bottom 5 for special teams 6 times out of 8 games. Kayvon Merriweather, 5 times out of 8 games. So the fact that these 2 guys get into the top 5 here, make their debut, good for them, man. Good for them. We finally see some life from these 2 young men in terms of special teams play. Josh Hayes checks in here at number 3. This is his 4th time in the top 5 of special teams. He's been very solid this year. Still, the special teams ace for the Buccaneers this year has been Deion Jones, his 5th time in 8 games as a top 5 special teams player. Shout out to him for that. Chris Braswell rounds us out with the top 5. He is the 3rd appearance for him in terms of his top 5 times being in special teams. Gosh, I just completely butchered that. This is Chris Braswell's 3rd time in the top 5 for special teams for PFF. There you go. I do also want to say shout out to John Bullock, who almost made it into the top 5. It would have been John's 3rd time in the top 5 for special teams this year. So unfortunately for him, Braswell edged him out. But he does get an honorable mention. Christian Izien makes his debut in the bottom 5 here with a 53.5 overall special teams grade. Devin Culp checks in. This is his 2nd time in the, his 3rd time in the bottom 5 here as a special teams player. Payne Durham also checks in. This is his 2nd time in the bottom 5 for special teams. Sean Tucker makes his debut in the bottom 5 for special teams. And then Elijah Roberts checks in, his 2nd time in the bottom 5 for special teams as well. And then Chase McLaughlin, I don't know why Chase McLaughlin is like at a 60. I guess that's just like, maybe that's just like the default grade, I'm guessing. But McLaughlin was really good from field goals. He an 81 overall field goal grade. So I don't know. I do not know why, but shout out to that. But yeah, man, overall it was a fine situation here regarding all the different types of special team stuff. Before we go ahead and head out, everybody, I do want to say shout out to the sponsor of this channel. It is Sleeper. If you guys do use the code MrBucs, you will get a 100% match up to $100. That is whenever you use the code MrBucs. Also, guys, just for signing up, you get $20 for free. As you guys can see here, I made some picks myself over on the app. It is just as simple as hitting a few buttons, hitting the view entry, and then confirming it. Simple as that, everybody. So make sure you go download the Sleeper app today. Enjoy football the way it was meant to be. That is together. Thank you so much to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of this channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.